Welcome to the Process Podcast.
From new agent to broker owner.
My name is Travis McClure. This is my co-host, Preston Guyton. Welcome to the Process Podcast. This is Travis McClure and my co-host, Preston Guyton. Preston, how are you doing today, sir?
Good, man.
Getting ready to head out to Tahoe next week?
Friday. That's a couple of days.
So, yeah, it's coming up soon. You are a keynote. Are you considered a keynote speaker out there?
I don't know. I guess maybe.
To me, you're the keynote speaker. You talk on Monday out there?
Yeah, Monday at 11 o'clock.
So we don't know if you're officially the keynote, but in my opinion, you're the keynote.
Yeah. There's I think there's 17 total speaking. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what are you planning on talking about out there?
Just a lot of what how I got into real estate, what I was doing before real estate, a lot of lead gen stuff, a lot of things that I learned throughout the years. I've been in real estate business now for 18 years, started in 2004, 19 years. So just talk about a lot about the things I've learned throughout, throughout that time, and then also launching Palms Realty and our growth over the past year and leadership team and things like that.
I think it's interesting, having seen you like prepare for that and talk to you about that. It's almost like when you prepare for like a marathon or some sort of event. I feel like the event is almost here. You've put a lot of preparation, not only just preparing what you're going to talk about, just self-development wise too, but there's a lot of vulnerability that comes along with what you're doing, because you can't just go up there and data dump, right? Or just talk about a lot of facts. You have to go up there and like tell your story so people understand where you come from, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's important, you think about it. And I think we talked about this earlier today is, think about the most memorable speeches you've seen or keynotes you've seen. And a lot of times there's a lot of personal information in there, a lot of things that, get people and, so it'll draw the crowd in and you'll remember those. Whereas you go up there and if you're somebody that goes up there and you just spill out a ton of data and, look at all the great things we've done over the last 12 months. And a lot of that's not as memorable as if somebody's actually, putting more out there about themselves personally and some things they went through to get to where they are.
Yeah. What comes to mind, I think of like TED Talks, your best TED Talks and like, I talk about Simon Sinek, the book right behind me, Simon Sinek, and some others, but they're always accompanied with a great story that you remember. It's not just somebody up there reading the slides.
Yeah.
Are you going to have slides?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to have parts of it just because some of it is, when I talk about numbers, I'll have some slides there. So when I'm discussing numbers and things like that, a lot of that will be on the slides, and hopefully it helps me stay on track as well.
And that's what they should. You shouldn't just be up there talking to the slides. More so if, you just use the slides as a guide to keep you on track. I think that's how you want to use them.
Yeah. And I have some old funny pictures. So, it's going to be,
that's always good.
It's and I haven't finished building that out yet, by the way. So that's due on Thursday. But the, everything I'm talking about, I've been, working on and, not only, like with podcasts and, speaking on Zoom so much. I'm on Follow Up Boss conversion, a webinar this Thursday. So I got a 25-minute slot there. And I think there'll be about 1,000 to 2,000 people on that.
Wow.
So, doing a lot of, and we were talking about this earlier. I feel like a lot of those presentations, a lot of those things you do on Zoom, when you don't see people, to me seems to be more challenging because you don't get any feedback, right? So you're there talking and hearing yourself and not seeing facial expressions or not, getting interaction with the crowd. It's just total different presentation.
Yeah. We talked about that with Brendan when we had him on the show. To me, it's so much more challenging to present on Zoom. And like you're saying, I'm a huge like body language person. Like I feed off of it, even on one-on-one conversations. But like when you're talking in front of a group, there's always the little bit of adrenaline or nerves that hit you when you first get up there. And then you get that one like head nod from somebody in the second row, and it's like, okay, they can understand clearly what I'm talking about. And it's like, it just calms you down a little bit.
Yeah. And I think people, I definitely get nervous. There was no way I would have done this 5 years ago.
Right.
And coaching with John and where I am today is a lot different than 5 or 6 years ago. But, seeing those things happen, and I feel like a lot of people, we self-critique ourselves a lot worse than individuals do. So I feel like we sometimes think we look a lot more nervous than we really are. Like
Right.
sometimes you get off and you're like, man, I bombed that. And they're like, oh, you did a really good job. And, so I think you put a lot of pressure on yourself. And, sometimes what you think you're doing, the crowd sees it totally differently.
There's the famous Brian Tracy quote. He's like, there's two types of public speakers. There's the people who get nervous to public speak, and there's the people who are lying about it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And everybody gets nervous. I mean,
yeah,
that's part of it. You just, change that nervous energy to, excitement and nervousness is pretty much the same energy, right? It's just
right.
how you in your brain what you think it is.
So lots of good stuff coming up. We also we've talked about it quite a bit on this show, jokingly, but it's coming around the corner too, is our half marathon that you've also committed to.
Yes.
We're about 3 or 4 weeks away, about 4 weeks away, I believe.
Yeah, 4 weeks. So our last long run will be my birthday, October 1st.
Yeah, I'll do one more after that.
I'll do one more after that.
Our marathon is October 15th or 16th,
16th,
whatever that
yes.
Sunday is. I'll do my last one about 10 to 12 days before, somewhere in that window. And then yeah, personally, I'll do a bunch of short runs leading up to it. Have you set a goal for yourself, or is it this just kind of being your first distance race, just more of a completion type goal? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I've already, like last week Saturday, I ran 11.2 miles. So it's not where I'm finishing, but I mean, I want to finish at 11 mile, 11-minute pace, something, whatever that
Yeah,
ends up being. I think it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes ish.
set the 2 hour goal.
2 hours and 15.
2:15. That's his goal. He said.
Two 2:15. Yeah. I think I might be able to do that. I'm gonna try to.
You'd be surprised. Like, I know anytime I've prepared for races, you never run. This is me personally, and there's probably maybe runners who listen to this and would disagree. But for me, I do track work. I do work on pace and things like that. But I'm saying when I go out and do a long run, I never run quite as fast as I do on race day. Like, there's something about the adrenaline. There's something about I think there's like that pack mentality of running with other people. That's what got me like addicted to running races.
Oh, I think, yeah, I think I see that too, though, because where I run, I'll pass a lot. There's a lot of people that run out of Fleet Feet, and so I
Mhm.
live on the north end, and I run up Ocean Boulevard. I even get that when I get around. So, I see some 65-year-old man blazing past me. I'm like, man, I need to speed up.
Yeah.
So, it's funny, and looking that, and I look at Strava and see like that mile pace is like 8.5 minutes. I'm like, wow, where'd that come from? But
Yeah.
you get surrounded by people, and I think it definitely helps push you, and you don't pay as much attention to your heart rate and everything else like you should. But
Mhm.
that's one thing I have noticed for sure.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll do it in 2 hours and 10 minutes,
Yeah.
or maybe 2 hours.
I like to run based on feel, especially when I do like I call it tempo runs. So it's like, to me, like to your point, I don't look at my watch a whole lot. Like, I just how I feel. Okay, I think I can run faster. And then I'll kind of gauge myself, because what happens to me out of the gate, and not this episode is not about running, so don't tune out on us. What happens to me out of the gate is a lot of times I'm running too fast
Yeah.
very early on. I'll have to look down at my watch just to be like, okay, I gotta, because I can't keep up with these guys
Yeah.
for 13 miles at that pace.
And
Because
I did that as well. Like when I went to the Lake James, and so there's more elevation there, and there's a lot more hills. Now I do a 5-6 mile run. It was like 800 feet or 1,000 feet of elevation change. One thing I did notice when I came back and running on flat ground again, like the first time I ran, I was like, on pace for like a 7-minute mile. I'm like, what am I doing? I need to slow down. So it definitely, I had to look down and see, hey, you need to slow down because you're not going to make 6 miles at this pace.
yeah, I set a goal for myself, an hour and a half. I've never run half marathon in under 90 minutes. So that'd be a personal best for me. But
Whatever I do, it'll be a personal best for me.
that's great. The cool part about running. I'll tell you what I love about running and running races. I think real estate correlates the same way. You're not up against a ton of other people. Yes, there's first place, second place, third place. But at the end of the day, who cares Nobody cares what you finish in the race.
Mm.
Nobody cares what your time is, but it should, and it matters to you. It's like really a you versus you sport,
Oh, it is
100%.
for sure. Because I mean, there's, you talk about self-doubt and you talk about, you know, negative self-talk, and, when you're running, I'm always like, "Man, I need to stop." You know,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make it another mile, and then all of a sudden you push another 2 or 3 miles, or, for me, like, for a long time, and I still struggle with it now, but when I hit, like, 5-mile mark, it's like I feel like everything's gonna fall apart, and
Yeah.
then next thing I know, I'm at 8 or 10 miles and, feel like that all over again, but it's interesting that a lot of the pain you think you feel is a lot of it's in your head saying, "Hey, you need to stop or slow down."
And it never goes away. It's weird. And I've heard David Goggins say this and stuff when he talks about running and even other big name runners. And it happens to me. Like I there's something weird for me with that like 10-mile mark. I could just be doing a practice race around like 9.5 to 10 miles. I feel like in my mind, my body's like starting to fall apart. It's like, oh my God, my hips hurt. This hurts. Like I start feeling my age. And after a while, you just keep going and it goes away. It's weird. To me, it's like this total like mental thing you have to overcome. And it never goes to me, it never goes away. It's like that 10-mile mark for me, my body always wants to fall apart at some
Yeah.
point. But one cool thing. Oh, wait, I want to talk about this real quick because it's interesting to me. I said running's a lot like real estate. I think for a real estate agent, if you're listening to this, and real estate agents should and usually do always set a goal for themselves 5 million, 6 million, 20 transactions, whatever that is. At the end of the day, does anybody care if you made that goal? You do though, right?
Yeah.
So to me, real estate is the ultimate you versus you business. You're really not up against other realtors. Yes, there's market share. Yeah, I want to be the number one team. I want to be this. But at the end of the day, the only person it really should matter to is you and the family you provide for.
Yep.
Right. That's why I think running and real estate have that similarity.
We should change the podcast name to Running in Real Estate.
It actually is genius. I love that. The process, running in real estate. One cool thing you've told me about recently, Preston, that you've gotten out of running. You and I were talking a little bit earlier today. You said 6 months ago I would have never envisioned running for 2 hours. Now you're getting ready to do it in a couple weeks, and I think that's so cool. 6 years ago, you would have never envisioned talking in front of hundreds of people. Now you're getting ready to go do that. Also awesome. But you said that you've found more time to listen to audiobooks while you run. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I would, so like working out, I would listen to like Moto University,
Mhm.
which is like motivational speeches and things like that. And the thing of what I've started doing in running is I've been listening to audiobooks. And, if you read and I heard it today again as well, you'll take in information better when you hear it if you're moving.
Mhm.
So I've started listening to audiobooks, and if I'm listening to audiobook driving in my car, I'll wander off on something else.
Right.
But what I've noticed is listening to audiobooks while I'm running, like you could ask me about Scars and Stripes, I could go over the whole, every single chapter with you in detail,
Yeah.
because you just take it. To me, it's like you take in a lot more. And so for me, it's hard to find. And I hate to say that, but it really is hard for me to find time to read as much as I want to read.
Mhm.
And so, running, I mean, I just finished Scars and Stripes. It was a 12 and a half hour. So, I finished that in 2 weeks.
It's
So,
by Tim Kennedy,
yeah.
by the way.
Before that, before that, I did the Goggins book. And then before that, Cameron Haynes. And then before that, Motivation Manifesto, which I've read several times and I listened to that. So it's just given me a lot more time. And I just started Limitless, which I'll be listening to. And that one's about a 12-hour. So, I'm running about 6 hours a week, something like that. So, able to finish an audiobook in 1 to 2 weeks.
What would you say is the best book you've listened to in the last 6 months?
Uh, th- Scars and Stripes is really good. It started out very, very slow.
Yeah.
It was, it went slow, and is just he even says it in the book, like he's, I was an ego asshole and all
Yeah.
these other things at the beginning, and that's how he was at the beginning of the book. You're like, I don't even want to listen to this anymore. But that one was really good. But I just finished it, so endure. We go back to that and
Yeah.
say it all the time, but really that, and I think it's from a standpoint of Cameron Haynes. I don't know, he's a bow hunter, right?
Yeah.
You would never expect it to be a real, and I think it's not only it's a really good book, but it's shocking that it's, it's so engaging. He's talking about bow hunting. He's obviously talking about his life and everything he went through, but it's hard. I mean, I don't know. I really can't pick a favorite.
I'll say Endure is the best book I've listened to this year. I've said it on the show a couple times. Endure by Cameron Haynes. And I'm with you. Like I have no interest in bow hunting, but that book has inspired me to say like I can do more
Yeah, for
than
sure.
what I'm doing and what I'm putting the energy I'm putting into whatever's important to me. I'm not doing enough. And I felt the same way about the Tim Kennedy book, Scars and Stripes. Tim Kennedy, MMA fighter, Army Ranger, Special Forces, just an American hero, all around American hero. But again, same thing. Like as like a patriot or as an American, I feel like I could do more.
Yeah,
Right?
he's
You look at him and it's like, oh
yeah.
my gosh, I could do more. Um, so like from an inspiration standpoint, I love both those books. My next favorite book I've listened to recently, and I can't think of the author. I think it has a couple authors, but it's called The Comfort Crisis. That's a good one I'd recommend to people. Again, it's not real estate related, but it's one of those books that definitely challenges the way you think and live.
Yeah.
You know. Well, let's get into this episode. What we really want to talk about is Cheplak Digital had like a soft launch in the past week. Talk to us about that and what that is.
Yeah, so I've coached with John for 5, 6 years now, and one thing that I've focused on throughout the years in launching Palms was, with Josh and Nick, and brought you and Trip on as well, was the lead gen side
Mhm.
of real estate and understanding that, hey, let's break away from needing the national lead sources, and be more self dependent and generate opportunities for our agents based on what we're doing.
Mhm.
So what we're doing is market exclusive. So like we have, I think 12 or 13 markets locked down now. And what we're doing is we're setting up the pay-per-click accounts for the companies, the teams, and then we're managing that. And there's also 2 coaching calls a month. And we'll do SEO and we'll do page creation, we'll do content creation, backlinking, things like that. But it's really, for me, and I've said this many times, and I say this often now, more so over the last 6 months, than I have, previously. Real estate saved my life in many ways, and this is a way for me to give back and help other teams because when you're self dependent on your lead gen and those things, and you don't have to, it's not only your professional life, like what will your agents think if you're generating the leads, you're generating the opportunities, and you're not stuck to Zillow or realtor.com or whatever national lead source you're doing. What would that do for your agents? How would they react? What would that do for recruiting, retention? And then there's the aspect of what would it do for you personally?
Right.
How, like when you go to bed at night, knowing that you could turn it up or turn it down and you're in control of it,
Mhm.
right? Where Zillow and realtor.com and other, they have to answer to shareholders, they have to answer to board members. They could totally change their structure without your approval.
So it's hard to offer if you're tethered to like one of those national brands. It's hard to offer that type of lead generation as an item of value for your company because you're not really in control. You're not in the driver's seat.
No.
Um, Talk to me a little bit more. So if someone signs up for this program, it's not only so you take them in terms of the coaching calls, you're taking them through the setup and maintenance, but it's kind of like a service that also kind of takes it off their plate from a time management standpoint.
Yeah, we'll manage, and that's why it's market specific. We'll manage the pay-per-click account. So we manage all the campaigns. We'll change the budgets, adjust the budgets as needed
Mhm.
based on what they want to spend. We'll tweak the campaigns, we'll tweak the ads to, reduce the total conversion cost for, per lead. And then, you know, majority, and those accounts are built in the name of who we're doing them for. So whoever hires us, that account is built out. So if we separate one, maybe they want to take it over themselves. So what ends up
Right.
happening a lot of times is if you have a marketing company running your ad campaign, it's in their account. So they manage it. If you cut ties, your account goes away.
Right. Right.
So you're not left with anything. And Google Ads accounts age over time, and they typically, if you run maintenance and do things, they get better over time. So this allows the clients to have more freedom to maybe one day they do want to take it over themselves, or they don't, because if they take it over themselves, then they open it up for somebody else in the market to, because it's market exclusive.
Right.
Then somebody else in the market could hire us to do the same thing.
So the market exclusiveness is just hiring you. But in terms of the website, if they decide, okay, I've done this for 6 months through Cheplak Digital, I have the right personnel in place where I want to manage this myself. They could essentially break away. They're not losing any of the leads. They're not losing their website. They're not losing any of the SEO traffic that's already been built up. They take all that with them essentially.
They can, for
Oh,
sure.
okay. And that's pretty good. So the program's kind of built two ways. The way I see it, Preston, is number one, if you're sometimes I think as broker owners or team leaders, you have enough on your plate. And it's like, hey, I'd love to be able to hand this off, get some leverage, let somebody else kind of run this for me. But also, hey, I like to develop my own systems,
Yeah.
right? Make this franchisable, whatever it is you're trying to do with your business. Um, you don't have to rely on somebody else for it if you don't want to.
That's correct. Yeah, and a lot of people, like the guys I've spoken to, I spoke to 3 people today about it. One of them's like, "I don't want anything to do with it. I just want you to run it.
Mhm.
You know, as long as I'm getting results, I'll continue on, on the program," which they will get results. Because what's great about it too is like everything we're doing is tried and tested,
Right.
right? So we try and test everything we're doing in the market we're in. So we're running campaigns based on proven campaigns and proven ads. And we continue to do it, with the amount of money we spend on pay per click and the amount of time I spend on SEO and content creation. What we're doing, we know works.
Mhm.
So what we're implementing for other companies, we know works. And that's the beauty behind it. Because a lot of times you hire marketing companies, you hire people, and they're not in real estate. They're running ads for you and running campaigns based on what they think will work. And a lot of times, yeah, they work to generate conversions, but are they converting sales?
Yeah.
So, all the campaigns we're doing and everything is similar to what we have set up for Palms and Myrtle Beach Market and Charleston and New Bern. And we'll just continue to, obviously the keywords are different in the different markets, but the campaigns all work the same.
Yeah. And what I like about it too, just from a standpoint as a company, it made me think a little bit just, our own company and the direction we've gone in, where you then have to focus training because there's so many things, especially when you have newer agents come to your company, there's so many things you have to like train them on and teach them on. What if you can give them a lead generation system and you focus the first 6 months of your career on lead conversion?
Yeah.
Become a ninja, become an expert in lead conversion because you have leads coming your way. I think that you look at a system like we have for our agents, not that we don't teach them how to generate listings or generate leads on their own at some point, but coming in brand new, it's so overwhelming as a brand new agent, especially. If we could take that off your plate and just make you a great lead converter, everything else will be easier for you as you progress through your career.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the beauty of this program too. Like we're going to do those things and generate the leads. So you don't have to worry about that from an owner or team leader standpoint. And then you could focus on the things like conversion. You
Yeah.
could focus on automations that work. You could focus on, training on scripts and, going and getting coaching on scripts and role play and all those things, or maybe you do it within your company. So it's, it's exciting. We're going to enroll 20 by Tahoe, and then we'll enroll the next 20 the middle of October, because the way we're set up, we could take on about 20 a month.
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably have about 60 or 70 rolling average in it. And so by January of next year, I would think we'll be around 60.
So someone hears this and they say, "Hey, I'm interested in more information." How do they get a hold of you, Preston?
They just go to cheplakdigital.com. And that would be the best at the bottom of it. So it's a one-page site. You go there, at bottom of the page is a form you fill out. Once you fill out form out, I'll send an email to book a Zoom, a 15-minute Zoom to go over any questions they have. Once they do that, I'll send a form out. That's an onboarding form. They'll fill the markets they're in, MLS they're in, and that information, and that's triggers a contract. But yeah, the cheplakdigital.com is where they would go.
Perfect. All right, so we got Tahoe coming up next week. Big mastermind event. Obviously, Joe said to me you're the keynote speaker. I don't even know who would you consider a keynote speaker? Is it John?
Yeah, I mean,
John Cheplak?
John's running it. But he brings in all of his clients, and he has, I think there'll be about 150 to 200 people there. There's top team leaders from across the country. The number one team with EXP is there. The number one team with Remax is there. So there's, the number one team in California is there, team leader. So there's a 17 people, I think, total
Yeah,
speakers
good.
over 2 days. So it's, going over, and everybody's doing something different. Some are going over, lead gen things, some are going over recruiting, some are going, one's a Whitley. It's a company that I think the majority of their stuff is through Facebook.
Mhm.
So there's a big group of speakers.
So then after that, we have,
Oh, and Bill Pipes is speaking as
oh,
well.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mr. Pipes will be there, and then you and I and a group of about 20 agents in October are going to Atlanta for, sales mastery.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. To me, that's really geared towards lead conversion.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's agent training. It's everything from they go into open houses to expireds to role playing to yeah, you name it. I mean, it's 3 days of intensity. Bill Pipes. I mean, it's a great event for new agents. We have, I think, there's over 20. I think there might be 23 of us going.
Wow.
But there's a lot of us going. I think we'll add a couple more. And it's if anybody is listening that is a newer agent or experienced agent, it's pretty neat. Like I was sitting back there with John, just looking at people standing up and role playing together in groups of five. A group of 500 people all role playing at the same time is pretty. It's pretty fascinating to watch it. Watch everything that was going on.
To me, an event like that, I was talking to an agent about it yesterday, is your expectation around that is you're not gonna learn the silver bullet, the shiny object. Your expectation around that is to come back more confident. And so,
Yeah,
like, if I get a lead, I am very confident that I know what to say to convert it.
yeah, and it's funny. The homework for a lot of that is they would go back and they would prospect that night. At
Yeah.
like 6 to 7 o'clock, and people were coming back and saying, "Hey, I converted a lead or two leads the last night." So it's definitely an event that you'll see a lot. They're going to do that event several times a year moving forward.
Yep. And then in November, you are a speaker at FubCon.
Yeah, I'm on a panel.
Oh,
So there's a break. So there's main stage and there's breakaways. Where I'm on a panel with one of the breakaways, and I think we're going over automations within Follow Up Boss and lead conversion and things like that.
that's a pretty big conference. You look at the lineup of speakers. I know Tom Ferry is listed as a speaker for that. John Cheplak is a
Yeah, so
speaker for that.
Tom and John are the two main.
Yeah.
So it'll be about 1,000 people, I think, and it's at Cosmopolitan in Vegas.
Yep. Yep. Follow we had Dan on as a guest on our show a couple months ago. Follow Boss just a tremendous, tremendous CRM. Um, and then that'll kind of any other events, Preston, that I don't know about coming up from now to the end of the year.
Now I talked to John about it yesterday. If he's going to send me a calendar for his events next year. So,
Good.
um, I think the next one there won't. There's really not anything else in December. I think the next one will be in January or February, which will be the Cheplak event. Not sure where that one's at yet,
Hmm.
but he usually has one in either January or I think it's usually early February. We'll go to that and then just continue on.
Good stuff.
Hopefully, have a Cheplak Digital event in 2023.
Yeah, you were saying location and time to be announced soon, hopefully.
And the event to be figured out as well. But it's that's something exciting. We're excited. I've been texting John just as I continue to speak to people about it, and we'll have a lot of information at Lake Tahoe on it, and speak to a lot of people about it.
Yeah, whenever you talk lead generation, I feel like for broker owners, for team leaders, even for agents, it piques a lot of interest because one of the things being an independent contractor, being a realtor, there's a lot of uncertainty in your world, right? Like you live or die, you earn or don't earn based on that flow of contacts or coming or not coming into your database. And I think this Cheplak Digital, if you really like buckle down and look into it, it can add some certainty to your business. Yes, you're still responsible for that conversion piece, but you can definitely be in the driver's seat of how many contacts you're going to get.
Yeah, and the thing about it is like marketing in general. Oftentimes, I see it. agents and brokers are kind of preyed on. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh,
hey, let's
absolutely.
let's push this to agents and brokers, and let's take advantage or try to take advantage of the situation. And this is, like I said, this is something we're doing in our own markets, and it's tried and tested. I've been, between SEO and lead gen and everything, I've been doing this for 18 years. Really pushed heavily on pay per click in the last 6 years, learning everything I could, learning, we actually coach. I coach with John, but we actually have a pay per click coach that coaches on, and he's all over the world in speaking events and everything else. And that's something we have 2 or 3 calls with him a month just to see ways we could make our campaigns better and how we could just, for what we're providing the clients could make it even better. And that's like the coaching calls, it will either be with me or the pay per click manager. And if they're with me, they don't always have to be around lead gen. Maybe they're on conversion, maybe they're on things in Follow Up Boss, maybe they're on a website. It doesn't always have to be on, the lead gen side.
You even get into conversation with people around like the entrepreneur operating system, EOS from the book Traction. You even
Yeah,
talk to people
yeah, I
about that,
talked
right?
to I mean, inside sales teams, like the one thing I've always done is I've always tried to go outside the box to learn. Like when I started inside sales team in 2015, there really wasn't a whole lot of inside sales teams in the country that were on real estate side.
Mhm.
So we went to an inside sales conference, and we were there, it was Rainbow and myself at the time with CRG, and we were the only real estate company there. And we're a small company,
Yeah.
60 between realtors and employees, about 60 of us, but there was just her and I were there. And it was like Cisco was there, Microsoft, all these major corporations that run inside sales. And that's something I focused on during that time. And then when we started EOS, we went to the EOS conference in Atlanta. And so anyway, I have a lot of knowledge on, those different types of systems. And we'll get into recruiting as well.
But all right, guys. Well, I think that's all we got for you today. I just kind of wanted to update you on all the happenings around here at the Easy Home Search and Palms Realty. Guys, have a great rest of your day. Have a great week, and we will talk to you soon.
See you.